This post right here will end up needing to be a two-parter. So this woman, Juliet, made a post on the Twitter. She says, point of view, you're a young woman celebrating a recent academic success. And then the men's, they came for her. They were so upset. Like, how dare you go out and get a degree and get an education? How does that benefit me? So I'm going for the first part. I'm going to talk about all of these different comments from these men being angry at Juliet getting her degree. The second part is going to be me going through some of the comments because I took these screenshots and put it over on my threads. And so it got 16,000 hearts so far and over 1,400 comments. People had some things to say because on this one, I captioned it, woman has an accomplishment that she's proud of and posts it. Men, they take that personally and need to insult her, make these dudes lonelier. So let's go ahead and jump into it. Let's see some of the comments that were made to Juliet. Now, these dudes are probably upset because this is a slender white woman, conventionally attractive with long blonde hair. And instead of devoting her life to being someone's wife appliance, she's sitting up here pouring into herself. And the dudes took that personally. So this is Juliet. I had seen this post going viral from Juliet, and she made things easier for me. I didn't have to go and collect all of these comments because she put them in this collage. The first post that I had seen was from this man named Rich Cooper, who's one of the OGs of the manosphere, the red pillar. So I saw him post this. He had just reshared hers, and he's like, just look at that degree on that chick. No man ever. So these red pillars are really, really irritated with women having the nerve to get their education. So Rich Cooper, a manosphere red pillar dude. All right, so we got Ewan Core saying they just handing doctorates out to anyone now. We got Mushfiq saying no grandmother on her deathbed was ever asked, so what was your thesis on? We have Africa saying one of the biggest reasons men don't value women's education is because they do nothing with it. They don't move the society forward. They don't feed the home. They don't make women benevolent. All your degrees, masters and PhDs do is make you think you can be like men. And if you happen to earn some change from them, all you do is selfishly spend it on yourself and yourself alone. We already talked about Rich Cooper saying, just look at that degree. Just look at the degree on that chick. Sean's eye view. He says, you could have had 4 babies in that time. More if you count the precursor degrees. John says, hey, Jules, only academia cares. Enjoy your cats, though. Normal person says, them eggs aren't getting any younger. We got a Copernican saying, listen, there's people out there with real PhDs for doing real research. Don't cheapen the title with trash. It's the only good title we have left in this decrepit society. You have Jeffy saying, you've spent your entire adult life trying to impress men and the institutions men built. You answered their test questions the way they trained you, and you submitted your thesis for their approval. Also, men could certify you're acceptable with their piece of paper. Then you got this man named Cal saying, empty egg carton. Called this woman an empty egg carton because all she's good for is being an incubator. You have Bad Alex saying, in academic circles, no one takes anyone seriously with a PhD if they ask or expect to be called doctor. That is reserved for MDs only. If you say that, you're going to learn quite swiftly the truth of my words. I wonder what Bad Alex's academic certifications are. We have Jad saying, usually the DEI ones post this to get validated in their delusions. We have Angry Bootneck saying, shame you didn't do it in the 80s when it meant something. Now, as soon as someone says, I went to Oxford, I instantly think, okay, brainwashed, woke, stupid person with the critical thinking skills of a brick. What if she wasn't? Oh my God, these people. GPT says, why do young PhDs take selfies and spam everyone with them? Every legit PhD I've ever met would never do such a thing. They aren't looking for props from the masses. They were happy to be accepted into the faculty. These people are silly. The enlightened boomer says, what comes first, your baby or your career? One thing men can't do in place of women is have the kid. Then the law of psychological ownership kicks in, and you think the baby is yours, which makes you the best one to care for it. That's such a weird statement on a woman who is talking about getting her PhD. Over here, we got this person, it looks like his name is Vas something or other, saying, I will call you Dr. Turner in bed. Ew, gross. We have this person named Andrew. Andrew says, yes, but rest assured, after that huge investment, she thinks and hopes it will add value. It adds value to her, to men, but it doesn't. And that will annoy her because he's talked to her. She even has told him about what validates her and all of that. We have this person, High Def Viking, pipe down woman. This person named Men Taking Charge shared this from Lynn White. Lynn White says the reason why stupid people are so proud of finishing their PhDs is because they're such a pointless, anachronistic waste of time. If I managed to bear sticking pins in my eyes every day for 4 years, I would want to brag about it too. Funnily enough, people like Einstein concentrate on the actual work and not the titles. The same Einstein that stole the work from his first wife to push and get those accolades and achievements. But yeah, let's quote Einstein. Men Taking Charge says, I'd guess that less than 20% of women understand this. If you try to explain it to them that we don't give an F about your degree, job, income, cats, etc., they react with hostility. The hostility is coming from the peen havers. And then finally, Kami Carney says, congrats on successfully becoming a biologist, but failing biology. You are 30 years old with no husband or kids, a genetic dead end in an unbroken line of succession from your ancestors since the beginning of time. But hey, at least you have your cats to keep you company. They really believe that this cat situation is such a zinger. They really, you know what? If they actually went to school or picked up a book, maybe they could become a little bit more creative. But they've been using this same line over and over and over, and it's not having an impact. Like, these dudes get on the internet and they're so hostile towards a woman just existing and pouring into herself, because women are supposed to just be a wife, appliance, incubator, and bang maid, and that's it. And when a woman dares to do something outside of that, it gets them riled up. All right, so this is part 1. And now for part 2, like I said, I'm going to address some of the comments that I got underneath this post that I put on Threads. So this is my part 2 of this post. In part 1, I shared Juliet, but then I shared a lot of the comments that Juliet got on her Twitter post because she dared to have some academic success and post about it. So now I'm going to read some of the comments that I got on my post. So I captioned this: woman has an accomplishment that she's proud of and posts it. Men take that personally and need to insult her, make these dudes lonelier. So let's look at some of the comments. A woman named Dr. Rachel Barr chimes in. She says, every time a man leaves me a transparently butthurt comment about my intellectual success or confidence, I effing release. That's what she says. I effing release. She loves their butthurtedness. Now, Deering Co. says, how do you accomplish anything? Now, Simon says, Liv says, come again? What? Obviously, he's joking. Riley Roham says, so many guys making a woman release for the very first time. To that, I had to laugh. McLovsky says, I'd love to see men crowing about women don't do anything with their education. They don't move society forward, while women surpass them in every academic arena. And men continue to pat themselves on the back for inventing the printing press or some shit. It's giving Left Behind and panicking. This person towards the middle says, as you should, Queen. And then Elaine says, I cannot overstate how much I love this comment. I Make Your Day says, women don't have kids. Problem. Women have kids. Problem. Women have resources. Problem. Women don't have resources. Problem. I think that women are just a problem, just existing. So we have SPM Doherty saying, some men are weak and hate women merely for existing. I agree. Dreamstar says they don't like women. They like access to women. They like women to serve them in some capacity, be it with their body, with, their service like cooking and cleaning, with having babies and being a bang maid. And that's pretty much it. Now you got Carol Creativa at the bottom says, women breathing. Problem. This person named Mrs. Claus shared a screenshot from this person named Jess Casey saying, abusive men make fun of you for being independent because they can't abuse you properly when you have resources. I needed to put this in here specifically because this is the reason why I say don't give your 20s to a man. Make sure you get your education, your career foundation, and your footing, your financial footing. Because, if you do pair up, that happens. People do pair up, but then people split up. You want to make sure that you have the capacity, the ability to survive and thrive, regardless of your relationship status. Reparations Fund says the connection between women having inadequate resources and their abuse by men is being laid bare right now. And then Captain Redbeard of the Sea says, girl, become more independent. Become so independent you could start your own nation. Okay. So we have this person named Caden, a man. So Caden, a man, chimes in saying, I agree that the behavior from these men is deplorable. Unfortunately, I don't think making them lonelier is going to solve the problem, though. It's the same argument for rehabilitation versus incarceration. And I was like, no women should be stuck with them. Why would you want to connect women to people this miserable? But then I said, let me clarify. You men need to friend these dudes. They need to stay far away from women, but y'all can take them on. These people want women to be the shock absorbers to these angry men. Like society needs to come together and make them less lonely. No, when they say society, they mean that women need to come in and be the DEI, be the affirmative action resources for these men. Make sure, just grab you one. It doesn't matter if he's mean or ugly or won't wash his butt. Grab you one. Rehabilitate a man today. And to that I say, no, Caden, you grab you one and make you a friend. So I said, you men need to grab these dudes, be a friend. And the person at the bottom, which I believe is a man, says, ew, do we have to? Maybe ostracism isn't so bad for these goblins. So Lee is talking to Hodgegit, saying, please be your brother's keeper. Some men only listen to other men, and that is absolutely true. Sometimes men only listen to other men. It could be our exact same message, but they won't receive it unless it's from a man. But then this dude says, I get that. I just don't know how to be a positively influential friend for someone with such disgusting opinions. I don't know what other solution there are for these people, but I couldn't pretend I like them and respect them in the long time it would take to make them better people. This person, Fate Les, says, I see where Caden is coming from. It's a chicken or egg, seemingly complex web. But men's loneliness didn't come from women online saying, hey, let's start making men lonely. Women started to say this as a response to the male loneliness that was already there, not the catalyst that caused the issue. The catalyst that caused the issue was men themselves, their somewhat collective words and behavior. But you're right. These men already look for an excuse to blame women, anyone but themselves. But truthfully, they would find a reason whether women said this or not. Caden, I hope you can understand that women, majority, do not turn to violence or hateful words. Women say things like, keep them lonely, which to men seems hateful, but that's because they don't know what real hate towards their gender is. This woman named Rainey tagged Professor Galloway, and I laughed. I'm like, why you tag that man? Sharona at the bottom, Sharona Barona, I like that name, said, geez, I worked on college campuses for 17 years, and I know lots of people who earned PhDs. There are professors who use their honorific doctor and professors who don't wish to be addressed that way. It's absolutely not reserved for MDs. Sarah says, they're mad because she looks like the fantasy trad wife they've been promised, but she's not doing what they want or giving them access to her, and it makes them absolutely seethe with rage. Vegan Fairy says, oh my God, you're right, laughing my butt off. They are sick. Schultzel at the bottom says, why do young PhDs take selfies and post them? Maybe because they're proud of themselves. Like, what kind of question is that? Why do you post pictures of you with your truck, dude? No one wants to see that either. I don't know what this person's name is supposed to be, but she posted this picture. If you need a screenshot, please take it. She says, me, when men. And that's it, just me, when men just do. Jen Zen at the bottom says, same. Final screenshot. So T.H. Hernandez shared this screenshot from the Demon Clown. It says, I don't know F about stuff, but I'm going to run my mouth anyway. Men, an autobiography. And you see that. You see men jumping into the comments section. I didn't even watch the video, but I'm going to give my opinion. When I'm on TikTok lives, I'll hear men jump into the live and want to talk. And they haven't even been listening to the conversation or even know anything about the prompt. They'll get in and just start spouting the 5 typical talking points that they have. They have no idea about topics because they won't expand past the 5 talking points that they are really strong on. But they will talk anyway. They will give you their opinions anyway. And then finally, this person named Oprim says, I had a man literally try to debate me on what was the better deal when I was picking out tampons in the store. Like, you literally have no idea. Laughing my butt off. And with that, I'm going to end it. Like I said, there are so many comments over on that post. If you are not following me over on Threads, you can follow me over there. Over on Threads, you can share pictures and all that kind of stuff. And I do see tags. Now, I am tagged on all social media spaces. So sometimes I don't get to all of the tags at one time, but you can still drop off pictures. I know sometimes people want to share pictures and things. That's where you can also drop them off for me. So find me, Bourbon Bougie, on Threads. Okay, so this man posted in the Am I the A-hole subreddit saying, wife, stop taking birth control without telling me. Keep the without telling me in your back pocket. He says, I'm 31 and my wife is 34. We have no kids yet and have been on the fence about having kids as we're not financially stable enough and living in a small apartment with no prospect of moving out soon. She recently told me she wanted to stop taking the pill as she didn't like how it was making her feel. And I supported this and said we could look into alternatives. So they're having a conversation about birth control. Things are extremely busy in work for me at the moment, having just got a promotion in the last month with a lot of new responsibilities. So I forgot to look into these alternatives and just assumed she was still on the pill. Today I found out she stopped taking the pill about 1 month ago, and we've been having sex on average about 4 times per week-ish for the last while, sometimes more, sometimes less. We're both busy with work and life in general. Anytime we do have sex, I always put my baby batter inside of her. That's just the way we roll, LOL. Anyway, when she revealed to me today that she's been off the pill for a month, I freaked out and told her it was extremely careless and uncool to not tell me this as we're both not in a stable financial situation to get out of this tiny apartment. Rent is crazy expensive where I live and home ownership is very difficult and far away until our savings improve. She blamed me for not exploring other contraceptive alternatives like I told her I would a while ago, but obviously forgot to. Slipped my mind. I was flabbergasted by her response and asked her why she didn't think it was worth mentioning while we were having sex in the meantime. Bear in mind, she was always leaning on the side of not wanting kids for now, but suddenly she starts tearing up and got really cold off with me saying, I don't have to stay if she's pregnant. Her period is due any day soon, so I'm naturally praying she gets it for the reasons outlined. Am I the a-hole for reacting the way I did? I've tried my best to understand her point of view, but she's given no good reason for discontinuing the pill and not mentioning this to me, and now we're having an awkward fight and sitting in separate rooms. I do love this woman, but a pregnancy now would put a lot of stress on our relationship. The timing is just not right at all, and I know there's no perfect time for this, but this definitely isn't it. Edit. Yes, I'm aware the pill isn't 100% effective, but it's enough assurance for the both of us, or it was while she was taking it anyway. Number 2, I'm not a fan of condoms, nor is she, but I would have been wearing them had I known she stopped taking the pill. All I needed was a bit of a heads up. No pun intended. Edit 3. For clarity on the alternatives I was thinking about was something like a male equivalent of a pill. I now know how naive and uneducated I was after learning the only 2 options for men are condoms and vasectomies. I stupidly assumed there was more out there. I wanted you to put the part about without telling me in your back pocket, because they have had these conversations about her stopping birth control. So what do you think? What are the percentages that you think she actually told him she was stopping being on the pill? Because he admitted he has been too busy. He didn't do his part of the agreement, which was look into alternatives. He didn't do his part. And then he snaps at her saying that she was extremely careless. So she is the problem, not him. And then over here, for him to get flabbergasted, like, how dare you put any of this on me? How dare you? Like, he was flabbergasted by her response, where she's putting some of the due diligence on him. Because in some people's mind, birth control is the sole responsibility of the woman. At what point is any of the responsibility or a percentage of the responsibility on the peen haver? When does that become part of the contract that goes along with being in a relationship? So he's upset with her, but I don't think that there's been any kind of resolution. And with that, I'm going to stop this. We got through the edits where he was mostly like addressing what people are saying in the comments. So there's no particular reason to go through the comments. Some people do say that everyone sucks here. Some people are laying the blame on the woman. I tend to not, because we don't know if he is really remembering everything correctly. If she spoke and said something specifically about going off, we're hearing him. We're hearing his point of view. And I will admit, I am biased in this, and I will admit this. I do not believe that many of them are reliable narrators when it comes to these types of things. So if he admits to having a conversation about birth control and then letting it slip his mind because it's been crazy and all of that, I can imagine that it has slipped his mind that says she was going to go off of it once she finished up her pack or something. I am interjecting that. I do realize that I'm putting that in there myself without him stating that as a fact in this story. But he said he was busy at work and he didn't get a chance to do his part. So I'm just putting that there. Now I'm segueing to this post from the Am I the A-hole subreddit as well. This one is from a woman. She says, am I the a-hole for wanting my boyfriend to get a vasectomy? So she says, so for some context, I'm a 31-year-old woman and my boyfriend is a 32-year-old man. We have a 2-year-old daughter together and are welcoming twins in April. She says, I'm having them through C-section and getting my tubes removed during that process, as we are going to be done at 2 and are definitely done at 3. As we were chatting, I expressed my wish for him to get a vasectomy after the twins arrive, because although the risk of pregnancy after getting tubes removed is low, it is not zero, and I do not want to become pregnant again. He said he doesn't want to because it would make him feel like less of a man and that it would hurt his confidence. I told him I know 5 men who have gotten vasectomies and it wasn't an issue for them, as it only affects sperm release and not hormones. He said he doesn't want to get it done if he doesn't have to. He then got upset when I said that if he didn't get it done, I would still want to use condoms because pregnancy is not worth the risk for me. From my perspective, when he has it done, I will have carried, birthed 2 through major abdominal surgery, and breastfed 3 children, essentially donating my body to our kids for 4 years. I do not want to be pregnant again, and as my partner, he should do everything in his power to prevent that from happening, especially when there is no evidence that vasectomies negatively impact men's health beyond stopping pregnancy. I understand that this is a permanent procedure, but it is incredibly low risk, takes less than an hour under local anesthesia, is done outpatient, and would put my risk of getting pregnant at 0, which is safer for me. He believes I'm being unreasonable. Am I the a-hole? People were giving all of their comments or whatnot, and so all of her updates pretty much address what people are saying in the comments. She addresses some of the comments in her updates. She says, update for clarification. We discussed him having a vasectomy when we were done having kids before our first was born, and he was completely okay and on board. However, now that I'm having my tubes removed, he suddenly has turned around and decided he doesn't want to anymore. Not sure what changed, but I think that's important context to add. Second update, for everyone saying his body, his choice, I absolutely agree. Obviously, I can't force him to do anything. I'm asking if I'm the a-hole for believing he should get it done. If he chooses not to, we will continue using condoms because it's what I'm comfortable with. Another update, for everyone saying the risk of pregnancy is 0 if I get my tubes removed, that is incorrect. Ectopic pregnancy, when an embryo is implanted outside the uterus, is a risk with tubal removal. It occurs when the egg leaves the ovaries, sperm finds a passage out of the uterus, usually through the residual stump from the tube left after the tube is removed, and fertilizes the egg. The resulting embryo usually implants on the outside of the uterus or on the intestines, which is always a life-threatening situation. I've seen it as I've worked in the ER, and it is horrific. And another update. Don't know why this matters to so many people, but we have been together for 8 years and are common law, as in common law married, where we live. Canada, that is the legal equivalent to marriage. If we break up, we will have to go through the same legal process as you would if you got a divorce. We aren't, though. This is one of 2 fights that we've had in our entire relationship. I decided to put these 2 together because it just goes to show that some of these people, these peen havers, do not want to take any responsibility. And in this one, she said that we did have this conversation. And she says, I know and understand that this is his body, but she gave the option. Okay, cool. You don't want to do that. It's your body, but we're going to use condoms. And both of the men in both of these different stories balk at condoms. They don't like it. Anyways, let me know what you think about these 2. Join the conversation, like, comment, and share.
Welcome to the Mojo Dojo Casa House. Are you an older gentleman with the emotional range of a brick? Did every woman in your life leave because you weren't like this when we met? Well, congratulations, King. You've unlocked early access to your final destination, the Mojo Dojo Casa House. That's right. A luxurious retirement mega complex, or moderate residential home for men who still think being right is a personality trait. Here, you'll enjoy top-tier amenities like communal remote control warfare at 5 p.m., daily arguments about thermostats, and unlimited opportunities to tell everyone how things used to be. So, pack your sandals, grab that one polo shirt you refuse to throw away, and come live out your golden years in the only place brave enough to gather you all together. Mojo Dojo Casa House, where the vibes are wrong, but the rent is right.